idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of Enter the SnyderVerse, or Enter the DCEU, whichever you prefer. This week we're going over the 2019 hit film Shazam! With an explanation point at the end. It's not deliberate. It's not an accident that I'm acting so enthusiastic about this one. This one was directed by David F. Sandberg, and it was Walter Hamada's first time being the president of DC Films at the time under Warner Brothers. This was the start of a new chapter for DC.
This is all very... I just want to say, you're Nathan, I'm Kyle, and the show is called Enter the SnyderVerse. Enter the DCEU is just the thing we got for Twitter because Enter the SnyderVerse was too long.
Yeah, but what one sounds better?
Enter the SnyderVerse sounds better. That's the pun. It's Enter the Spider-Verse, but it's Enter the SnyderVerse.
Yeah,
that's the joke.
And I know the joke, Kyle, but I think Zack Snyder's gone now. He's left.
Hey, we haven't gotten to the Snyder Cut yet, okay?
We haven't got to the Snyder Cut yet.
We're still well into the SnyderVerse.
We haven't got to the Snyder Cut yet.
I mean, thinking that this film's in the same universe is laughable, but technically speaking it is.
Technically speaking it is, yes, you're not wrong. So yes, I'm Nathan, I'm your host for this episode, and we also have our other host.
I'm Kyle, I am the personification of envy.
He is, he really, really is. He jumps out of people's mouths.
More like jumping out of their face, I guess, as a Dementor smoke monster.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, Kyle.
Uh-huh.
What do we think of this one?
I think this film... this might be the best film we've watched so far.
Really?
I think this ticked a lot of boxes for me. I really enjoyed this movie. This is like everything I want from a superhero movie, basically.
Well, that is fascinating. I did not think that you would have that to say. Not to say you would have thought it was bad, but maybe to say that you wouldn't have thought it's the best.
Isn't this movie, like, exactly me? I don't know. I don't know what you expected me to think.
I don't know. I thought you would have thought it's just, like, middle of the road.
No, absolutely not. This movie's great.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that, Kyle. This was, for a long time, my second favourite film in the DCEU at the point of its release. I think this film is really, really solid as well. Smaller film for the DCEU. No world-ending stakes, really.
I mean, we don't really know what the villain's plan is after he gets the power, but I assume it's bad things.
The seven deadly sins cause chaos across the earth.
Yeah.
Like Superman couldn't kill them all.
Only magic can stop magic, Nathan.
Only magic can stop magic, and we all know that there was only one sorcerer in the DCEU, and that man is Shazam.
Exactly. Well, before, as always, critics scored 90%, audience 82%. I want to say this is the second or third highest rated of the DCEU movies.
It certainly got critical and audience acclaim.
Yes. And well deserved. I really like this film. Did I say that already?
You did say, you've mentioned that once or twice. I'm sure it'll come up again. So as I said as part of the intro, this film does represent a shift in the creative philosophy of the DCEU. So,
this feels like a soft reboot, or like it was intended to be a soft reboot.
Yeah, so at the time that was never something that was discussed, but it is, from behind the camera, there are new people in charge. This is the start, because Zack Snyder, after his family tragedy, after Justice League, he was still credited in things like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, but that's kind of like he's not really involved at this stage, right? He's kind of gone, and our DC overlords have appointed Walter Hamada, who was the overseer of Warner Brothers' horror division for a number of years. And he was also an executive producer on Aquaman. But at that point in time, he was not.
that name, but I think I only recognise it because Snyder Bros hate him. Is that right?
Kind of. Kind of true. By the end of the DCEU, everyone hated him. You know, he didn't lose his job because people loved him, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he get put in charge of DCEU. And again, he was tangentially involved with Aquaman, but I don't really know to what extent. But this was his first I Am the Boss film, right? Mm-hmm. And he appointed David F. Sandberg to direct this film. I believe it was Walter Hamada that appointed him to direct it. It's possible he might have came in after he was already attached. But
if I remember correctly, David F. Sandberg started on YouTube, right?
Yes, he was a small independent creator. But he was a horror guy. He made horror films.
One of us.
Right. So this is a local kid making himself an honest man in the big bad world, you know? Mm-hmm. He comes back for Shazam 2, so they definitely liked him associated with this film. They liked his style. I think he did a good time. I think everyone had a happy time making this film. This film isn't one of those films we hear about horror stories during production. It seems like, broadly speaking, everyone enjoyed making this.
That's always nice to hear.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's something that's good to hear when films, usually the iconic ones that stand up, is always just pulling your hair out and wanting to kill yourself.
Yeah. It's like any story you ever hear about Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, David F. Sandberg done a great job, and who's our lead in this film, Kyle?
Well, I don't know the name of the kid, but our lead is Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi. I know the name of the kid. I think his name is Asher. Hold on, let me get it up. You can edit out all this dead space here. I think it's Asher Angel. Yes, Asher Angel is the actor's name who plays a young Billy Batson.
I guess technically Zachary Levi is the lead, but they're both kind of the lead because they're playing the same character.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. They're co-leads of this film playing the same character. What do we think of Zachary Levi as Shazam?
Okay, here's the thing. He is very, very funny in this movie. He is great at playing an adult who is a kid. He captures that energy perfectly. The one little nitpick I have, and I think it's going to become way worse in the sequel, is there's a bit of a disconnect between kid Billy and adult Billy.
Zachary Levi is very charismatic.
Zachary Levi is very wacky and doing TikTok dances and stuff. And Kid Billy is more of the sort of edgy loner type. And the two feel a little bit at odds.
Yeah.
Which is not a major problem for this movie, but I feel like when we get to the next movie and he's supposed to be in his edgy teen phase, that's going to become a way bigger problem. That's just my guess.
Well, I won't spoil it for you. Tell you what though, don't set yourself up for anything other than what you have just said.
Okay.
Also, a whole lot more Zachary Levi in the next film and a whole lot less Asher Angel. He is in it, just not as much.
Right.
But yeah, so we have Zachary Levi as, we'll just say he's our hero. He's the casting. He's your Henry
I guess
Cavill,
if you've
your Ben
never seen
Affleck.
Shazam, the whole point is it's a kid, he gets powers, and when he says Shazam, he turns into an adult man. That's part of his power
Great
set.
idea.
It is a good idea.
Originally called Captain Marvel.
Yes, I was going to say that. This is Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this is Captain Marvel.
Because obviously you can't call him Shazam, because that's just what he says to activate his powers. He can't introduce himself as Shazam, or he'll change back into a boy.
Exactly, right? It's very silly. And then we have our villain. Who's our villain, Kyle?
Our villain is Mark Strong. I can't remember his name, but he's good in this movie.
Thaddeus Sylvana?
That sounds right.
That sounds right, doesn't it?
He looks a bit like Lex Luthor.
He looks a bit like Lex. He looks like, I tell you, he looks like Mark Strong.
He does look like Mark Strong. Mark Strong would make a pretty good Lex Luthor, though.
Yeah, Mark Strong does a really good I Am a Villain.
He is. He's not a massively deep villain.
He looks like a Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik villain.
He does. I said that. He looks like a 2000s video game villain.
Yeah.
He's got the fur trench coat and this weird button shirt.
He looks like Dr. Robotnik's cousin that gets called in.
Uh-huh.
Like his enforcer that's a threat. So he's a nerd, Kyle, and he plays a Magic 8 Ball, and his parents resent him. And his
dad resents him. We never see his mum. I assume she's dead. Or left because her dad's an asshole.
Presume so. And he was thought to be worthy, wasn't he, Kyle, by Shazam?
I mean, I guess this this whole bit's kind of strange. It seems like the wizard is just calling everyone on the planet until he finds someone.
Yeah, he's cold calling people and be like, oh, you're perfect.
But no, you want to touch an orb, so you're bad, actually.
Yeah, you want to touch the eyeball that has the 7 deadly sins inside it, right across from the statues of the 7 deadly sins
what?
for some reason.
I'm going to say this, Nathan. I think I could pretty easily resist the call of the orb, you know? When I see these big demon statues.
I think I would more so be confused.
I think if I saw those demon statues and they were whispering into me, like, grab the orb, it will give you all of the power. I'd be like, well, okay, those guys are clearly, well, as he says later in the movie, they don't have your best interests in mind.
Yeah. They may have ulterior motives. So he is rejected and he's sent back to a life of being part of the family business, but not really appreciated.
And there's like a real gnarly car crash, and I really thought his dad was dying, but I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, this film has some pretty horrific visuals, but still keeps it still keeps its family-friendly rating.
Yeah, this is one of those films that pushes the family-friendly rating as far as you can push it.
Yeah, and I think that's all down to David F. Sandberg knowing how to use his horror chops, you know?
His dad, I just have to point out, by the way, his dad is played by the same guy who played Lionel Luthor on Smallville, so, you know.
Oh, you're not wrong. I don't really watch Smallville, but I did know he was in it. Yeah, he's one of those faces, doesn't he? Looks like an alternate universe Michael Douglas. So our villain is a man basically hated by his parents, but kept inside the family sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And our protagonist is an orphan, as we should probably bring up. He lives in a group home. He keeps running away from his civil authorities that look after him.
He was with his mum at a theme park, and he let go of his mum's hand to chase a little, like, compass ball, and Mum never came back. Mum never came back, and he thought it was his fault. She actually abandoned him. But this is our dichotomy here, Kyle. He, abandoned by the parent that never wanted him and grew up to be his own person, not influenced by her resentment, probably. And the villain, hated by his father, but held around to be shaped and moulded in the hate that was around him. Okay, this is symbol as it's poetry, Kyle. It rhymes. I mean, the movie is about family, and that's what's so powerful about it. That is what's so powerful about it. You're entirely correct. I guess that's true. I feel like because he murders his dad in, like, the first scene when he gets powers, that theme doesn't come across as strong as it could, because you barely see him with his dad. Yes, potentially. Yeah, they do. He does seem to be quite happy to eject his father. By the way, there's the scene in the boardroom, right, where full-on horror movie scene. Yeah, he calls out all the demons from his body to sort of just stand at the back of the room menacingly. And they pick up one of the dudes and throws him out the window. I think that's his brother, right? Yeah, it's his brother. It is his brother. I forgot about that. I forgot that happened in the film. I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, they threw him out a window. It's pretty brittle, yeah. Yeah, entertaining stuff. I thought they would have left the dad alive and somehow tried to frame him for the murder of the board. I think that scene's great too, because all the board people are like, oh, it's this stupid son again. And then as soon as that happens, all of the atmosphere in that room completely changes, and it's like, holy shit. I'll work for you, kind of. That's the vibe. All of those, I assume, corrupt board members are just freaked the hell out. Well, the thing is, we have no information to say that they're actually bad, apart from, capitalists, right? We have no information to say that they're bad people. No. They could just be working for the business, and Thaddeus over here has spent the last 20 years being a bald edgelord with these fringe science experiments, and they're just like, he's wasting our time. He's carving runes into doors. Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this punk want? Like, they have full right to think he's a weirdo. It's and also I love when he's in the elevator and they have that little thing about, like, here at this company, we're all about family. Yeah, see, that's the theme, Kyle, right? That is what's so powerful about it. Right, so we can pause the villain for a moment. Why don't we talk more about our hero and his upcomings? His upbringings? Upbringings. That would be the word, right? Well, he doesn't steal a cop car. He, like, breaks into a cop car to... This is how we're introduced to Billy. He breaks into a cop car to get on the radio to find a lady's address. He locks the police into a pawn shop. And as fun as it is, I just have to assume there's easier ways to get someone's address, right?
social media searching, Instagram prowling.
The Yellow Pages?
Who used the Yellow? I think even if that would make sense, Kyle, the audience won't know what the hell the Yellow Pages are, Kyle. You've also got to set your plot, if not in the fully realistic sense, but in a sense that will convey to the audience. If the audience don't know what Yellow Pages are, it's a waste of time. That's where the kids will go, what? And the parents will go, oh yeah.
I'll also say too, this movie is unique amongst DC movies by being set in an actual city. It's not like Gotham City or Coastal City. It's just set in Philadelphia.
Yeah, which is good. I think it grounds the film quite a lot. Like it does feel more relatable. The city of Rocky, which comes up a couple times.
Yes, and good old one of the founding fathers. Which one am I thinking of? The inventor one.
Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. He's a Philadelphia guy because they knock over a statue of him later in the movie.
So he runs away. He's caught by the police because he shows up to the home of a lady who he thinks is his mother. We get a good bit. He's hi, it's me, I'm your son, I'm home, because he thinks that he's just been lost all this time. And it's the black lady. It's an African American lady who's definitely not his mother.
I mean, it's a fun bit, but who answers their door without opening the door, you know?
If there's a peephole and you're a bit curious about who's this youth at my door, you know?
Okay, I mean, I guess I'm just talking because I've always had front doors with windows in them, so I guess.
Yes, fair enough. fair enough. That you do have that benefit, I suppose. The police obviously have seen that he has been typing in addresses for people and knows exactly where he's going, so they show up, and then they pick him up, they send him back to the civil authority that looks after orphaned children.
I'm sure there's a name for this. I can't think what it is right now.
Yeah, I agree. I can't think of it either. And they give us a bit of exposition speaking to him. Like, you just keep running away. Like, we can't do this anymore. You know, some don't even want you. We're sending you to this family here. These people are nice.
She does make a good point, which Billy probably should internalize, but he doesn't, is you can't keep looking for this woman who's never once looked for you. It's
yeah.
Like, I mean, I understand that he's a kid, but I don't know. Seems obvious to me, a grown man.
He's in a fool's errand, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we get introduced to our family, Kyle. He goes to stay at this big family group home.
We get introduced to the Wacky family, and Nathan, I love the Wacky Foster family.
So do I, Kyle. I think it is one of the strongest parts of this whole film. I think it's a really good idea. I always like it when the superhero has like a really likeable wacky family, like in Miss Marvel.
Yes.
So why don't we go through our family briefly? We don't need to go into great depth. Why don't we start with parents? So we got the dads.
I don't remember anyone's names, unfortunately. We've got Big Dad.
Yeah.
Big Dad, they'll call him.
Have you ever seen Big Dad before? His name's Victor.
He looked familiar, but I can't remember.
So
exactly.
I know him from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
He had quite a career in The Walking Dead for a number of years. He was a great character in The Walking Dead, really likeable. Then when he showed up in this, I was like, it's you from The Walking Dead, whose name I can't remember in The Walking Dead, but he's really cool in The Walking Dead.
Uh-huh.
We have the young sister Darla. She can't keep any secrets.
Yep.
She's just a bit of a chattermouth.
She's very adorable, though.
Yeah, right. Really good casting for the whole family. I think. I don't think anyone's miscast. Mm-hmm. We have Mary, who's our not necessarily the popular kid, but she's good. But she's pretty.
Oldest.
She's going to college. She's the elder one. She's on the phone trying to get in. Good quips with the dad character.
Yep. Mention you're from a foster home.
Yeah. That'll get you into college. That'll get you in. They love that shit. They eat that up. We have the mom.
Mm-hmm. She has some sort of accent which I couldn't place.
Yeah, her name's Rosa, I think, in the film.
Okay, maybe French?
No, she's a Spanish actress, so she probably, yeah.
Spanish then.
Yeah. So, she's quite good. I think she probably feels like she's got the least to do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The parents have like the least to do in this dynamic overall.
But at one point in the film where Billy goes missing, the dad, when they get back, is like, we're so worried about you, rah, 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 you need to fucking straighten your head out. And the mum just kind of sits there and takes care of him.
Well, they're doing the good cop, bad cop thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I suppose so. I just feel that she kind of disappears into the background of this film. Not by the actress's fault, I just think she's got a lot to do. But I mean, it's not about the parents, how much can they do. We also have Eugene. He's our gamer. He's our gamer, yeah. He loves Destiny. I don't know what game he was playing, but in 2018 he'd be playing a lot of Destiny.
He mentions that he learned hacking from Watch Dogs, which is bullshit, because in Watch Dogs you just press a button to hack things. You don't learn anything from Watch Dogs.
He's a big Watch Dogs 2013 fan. And then we have apart from Billy, obviously, we have our two remainders. Pedro, who's our silent big guy of the house.
Yeah.
He's more fun. All of these characters, by the way, get more to do in the sequel, so they all come back.
That's good.
We also have our sidekick of the film.
Yes, Freddy.
Freddy. Oh boy, Freddy. Freddie Freeman, his name is.
Mm-hmm.
In some other franchise, he would be his own lead. He's got the FF, the Freddie Freeman, like the Wade Wilson, the Billy Batson,
yes.
you know?
And I guess one important thing about Freddy is he has a crutch. He walks with a crutch.
Yes, he is. He does have a crutch.
And he's a big superhero nerd.
Yes, he's the kind of audience insert kind of character. He knows everything about suits.
It makes you question this entire universe, but we'll not get too deep into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Aquaman merch in it.
Who's selling Aquaman t-shirts?
Yeah, because Aquaman still isn't a public figure at this point. I think it's very much...
I mean, he is, because the people in the submarine knew who Aquaman was. And so did Black Manta.
Where's the symbol?
It's on his belt. He does have it on his belt, but again, who's printing t-shirts? Are they official?
Yeah, so somebody's doing some piracy.
Like, you can imagine in Marvel that Tony Stark has all the toys rights and he's just merchandising the crap out of them. Yeah. I can believe that.
Yeah.
In this movie, I'm not so... maybe Bruce Wayne is doing it. I don't
Bruce Wayne
think so.
would be the one capable of doing it. I still don't think he's doing it, though.
No.
He's got a bullet that was bounced off Superman's face or something.
Yeah,
he has a batarang.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Batman doesn't go around collecting all those batarangs.
How much money do you think he's burning on batarangs?
I know, like solid steel bat-shaped throwing darts. I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, also in like the wrong hands, that could be a lethal weapon. Is Batman just leave? I mean, Batman doesn't care in this universe, I guess. But...
we got a lot of Batman brought up in this film, don't we?
We do get a lot of Batman.
Yeah, this is from Aquaman being cold turkey and Shazam. We're right back in it, aren't we?
We're back in full form.
We're back in full form in Philadelphia. Everyone's a Batman fan. Mm-hmm. So we go to school, don't we, Kel? First day at school. For Billy, anyway.
They made the most evil bullies in film history, maybe?
The most evil bullies in film history. They have a big truck. They run
over it. They hit a kid with a crutch with their car and then start beating him up.
Yeah. It's quite extreme, isn't it?
It's really extreme.
Yeah, it's criminal offence. It's like they would get done for grievous bodily harm or something.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I don't want to say in their defence, but Freddy makes it really easy to bully him. I'm going to say, Freddy's pretty annoying. He's annoying and he's a big showboat and he always talks about, like... I don't know. Freddy he's okay. He's not the most likable character in this movie, I would say.
Yeah, he's definitely not the most likable character. There's a bit in the film I didn't like later on where he starts to have the tension with our two heroes, with Billy, and he says that Billy is really selfish and being a bully, and I don't see that at all. I could maybe see he's a bit selfish by going down street shows and all that.
But Freddy was the one who's like, oh, I know Shazam, and he's going to show up for lunch.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like in the language of the film, you're supposed to be on Freddy's side.
I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say.
I feel like the film wants you to be on his side because he's supposed to make the character see sense. I didn't agree with him at all. I thought Freddy was being an ass.
He was. I mean, they were both being asses because also Billy was being completely. He hadn't internalized the whole "with great power becomes great responsibility" thing yet. He's just he's just on the floor on the Philadelphia steps taking selfies for money.
Absolutely. Well, after Billy decides to get involved in the fight and save Freddy, he does a runner and he ends up on the underground subway. And we should say at this point, by the way, Mark Strong, Thaddeus Sylvana, he's got in the doorway somehow into Shazam's lair.
Yeah, so if you draw some symbols on a door 7 times in a row, it becomes a Monsters Inc. door to an underground cave.
Yeah, it turns out there's lots of Monsters Inc. doors. We find that out later.
Also, but that lady who touches the door melts. Why does that happen?
In a really horrific way.
Thaddeus doesn't melt. Is it because he's been there before?
It's because, yes, exactly, Kel. It's because he touched the door handle and she didn't.
Okay.
It's because he is capable. Maybe Shazam Wizard only pulls through people, not necessarily, he pulls them through to see if they're worthy, but he only pulls through people who are capable of making the journey.
I mean, well, first of all, he gets there because he's studying, like, the wizard has been sending out, like, hundreds of people. And so he's got people on a Skype call talking about how they had the same experience. And this wizard is just not being very subtle, Erase the memories of these people afterwards,
But the wizard isn't going to choose someone that would die on the trip through the doorways.
Okay,
so,
I guess.
Like, he's
they have to have
people...
some sort of innate magical quality.
Yeah, exactly. And that scientist didn't have it. She never would have been picked by the wizard. But Sylvana, even if he was not the right type to take the powers, he was someone capable of going through the doors.
Wait,
Thank
so
God the whole Shazam family were later in the film. That would have been dark.
So the wizard just melts people who can't make his lair. I don't know if this wizard is a good guy.
This wizard knows if you're capable and thus does not bring you through.
Okay. Sure. The wizard, by the way, played by that guy. I can't remember his name. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's really good.
A bunch of stuff. Hold on, let me get his name because I have a feeling he died recently.
I don't know. I don't think he died.
Yeah, Demon Honsu. That is our
I think
Shazam
it's Jimon
wizard.
Honsu. I want to say the D is silent.
I have a pronounce here. Hold on. Where, like, on Wikipedia it gives you it phonetically.
Uh-huh.
It's Jimon.
Jimon, okay.
Unsu.
He's great. He's so intense in this movie, and it's perfect.
Yeah, he is quite good. He's great. Yeah, he's in a lot of Marvel stuff as well. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the guy that was Who to Star-Lord. He's in What If.
Playing the same character. He's the
Fisherman King in Aquaman.
Is he?
Yeah.
The one who dies instantly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. 2 DC movies in a row. Not bad.
Yeah, he's having a good time with it.
Yeah, he summons Billy and you realise... I mean, I guess he just sort of chooses Billy because he doesn't have any choice anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, I think when Mark Strong came through and done like a thing about how no one is truly as pure as you want them to be.
Mm-hmm. He just chose the next kid who walked through.
He just chose the next kid that walked through.
Pretty lucky that. And we see The Rock also. He shows us The Rock. And I don't know if it to me, it looks like The Rock. Maybe that's just me projecting. But we knew even at this point that The Rock wanted to be Black Adam, right?
Yes, we did. The Rock. So his production company, $7, is associated as executive producers for this film.
Right. Okay. So it's probably not an accident that when they show Black Adam, it looks a bit like The Rock.
Oh yeah, it's not a mistake at all.
That's fun. I mean, it's stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah, The Rock did say that he didn't want Black Adam to be in this film. He was very strong about that because he really wanted Black Adam to be his own character that could meet up with Shazam at one point, but he didn't want him to be like a Shazam villain,
We'll talk about all the Rock stuff when we get to Black Adam.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we swiftly move on from Black Adam, right? It doesn't matter. Black Adam's not part of this film. We get a reference to him later on with an empty seat in the chair, but that's it. We get Billy Batson, Asher Angel, turning into...
Zachary Levi. Also, Thandral in Thor. Is that it?
Yeah,
Thandral?
So I have it in my notes here. That's what I was going to say. Man, he has upgraded from the Warriors 3 in the Thor films.
From being the recast of one of the Warriors 3. He's not in the first one.
Yeah, he's not in the first one. He's the recast. And credit to him, he had already made this and he still showed up for Thor Ragnarok to get killed off.
To get killed off without a single line. Yeah.
Yeah, So good for him. He's a company man.
He's a team player, I guess.
He's a team player.
Although wasn't there some weird stuff about Zachary Levi recently? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, tons of other stuff that we'll get to maybe when we come to Shazam 2, because that's more kind of concurrent to now.
Yeah.
But for this, great team player. Love that he done the Thor kill off. Unlike another actor we can talk about later on for this film, Zachary Levi having a great time. Running around like a full adult, acting like a 14-year-old kid or whatever Asher Angel's supposed to be in that film.
I think it's 14. I think they say 14.
And he doesn't know how to turn back into a kid, so he like shows up at his group home house with a hood up and gets Freddy at the window.
Okay, well, we have to talk about the costume.
We have to talk about the costume. Can I mention something about the costume?
Uh-huh.
So the costume leaked before the film came out because they do a lot of filming on location, so they can't obviously have a closed set, so everyone can see what it looks like. It looked so cheap when it leaked, Kyle. And I understand behind the scenes photography, sometimes because it's pixely and it's maybe a long lens on, it doesn't make it look great. But when the film then released, we got more official photography. It looked better, especially with the lit up lightning bolt and the gold braiding on the cape, which doesn't quite show in the behind the scenes pictures. It still kind of looks cheap, but in a more intentional way.
Well, yeah, the thing about it, it's supposed to look like a retro superhero costume.
It's supposed to look like something Will Ferrell would have worn in one of his Elf movies or something.
It looks bad, and for that reason it looks amazing. It's perfect for what this movie is trying to be. It's these big, bold spandex colours. It's not actually spandex, but it's capturing that vibe.
I'm happy they've gone all in on the little short cape.
Yeah, it's like a 2-tier cape where it's got like a little frilly bit.
Yeah, but it only goes halfway down your back.
It's perfect. And it's got like the big, like almost like rubbery looking muscles to it as well.
Yeah. So I've got here in my notes that if this movie was made 20 years ago, Shazam would have been played by David Hasselhoff. Did you see David Hasselhoff in this outfit?
I would maybe go further than 20 years.
30 years ago.
30 years, maybe.
30 years ago.
I can see David Hasselhoff rocking this outfit, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something about Zachary Levi's hair in this that makes him look like a plastic doll.
Yes.
I mean, like,
again,
Rider,
it's very
you know?
intentional. Yeah, it's like, it's this super, like, crisped up, graced back hair.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's a very strange look.
It's supposed to look like an action figure.
Yes. And it's also one of the parts where imagining this in the same universe as Ben Affleck Batman is very funny.
Yeah, right.
With these two diametrically opposed costume designs.
Could you imagine Shazam and Batman together?
Could you imagine Shazam and Superman together?
Well, yes, I can, Kyle, because we see it later on.
Or do we?
Or do we? That's what we'll get there, Kyle. We'll get there. So we do a little montage of different power sets, don't we? See what are you capable of? Jump off the car, see if you can fly. All good fun.
We have a montage set to Queen.
Yeah,
good
so
stuff.
Do you remember for our Suicide Squad episode, I was doing timestamps for every single musical song?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think I had like 3 seconds into the film, and we're on to our first song of this jukebox, is what I wrote. So for this, I'm at 57 minutes and 56 seconds into the film, and we're on to our first song of this jukebox.
Imagine that, a well-paced movie.
A well-paced, who would have thunk it, right?
Save your music for the big moments.
We also get the Rocky theme, where he's doing lightning in my hands. Lightning in my... Great stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
Love it. Having a great time. He stops a mugging, doesn't he, Kyle?
Well, does he?
Well, does he? He does. He really does. He just really scares the lady, though.
No, because she says that was the guy screaming because she'd sprayed him with pepper spray already.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe she didn't need saving, technically, right? But he was still holding on to her back. One of those things where, like, in order to create the misdirect of him trying to be a hero from someone that didn't need the saving, you have to shoot it in such a way where it's just implausible that the woman would actually still be in that position.
Uh-huh.
So he comes along and helps, kind of, if not making the whole thing worse.
And then she pays him $70 to leave him alone. Leave her alone.
And they find that to be huge because they're kids. And they're like, man, we're so rich. So what's the first thing they do with this money?
Well, obviously they go to buy beer.
I love this bit. I would like to purchase some of your finest beer, please. And he thinks he's doing like a really adult, oh, look at me, I'm suave.
And then it's just like some 16-year-old cashier who doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's clearly a 40-year-old man. Then we get a robbery kill, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So
this is when we learn that he's bulletproof.
Yeah, because Freddy's like, go save the day. And then when they find out that he's bulletproof, he brings out his phone and starts recording it. And they're like, is it the suit or are you bulletproof? Shoot him in the face. Great, because we should know at this point, for him to prove that he really is Billy and not just faking it, he shows Freddy his Superman bullet.
Yes.
And he drops it down a drain.
Yep.
So this is his way of giving him his Superman bullet back, being like, here's a Shazam bullet.
Well, yeah, he specifically says in the video, he's like validating it for like appraisal. It's like, here's the proof that this bullet hit this guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's so much fun kid stuff in this movie. I love when they finally drink the beer and they both spit it out because beer is disgusting.
Yeah, beer is disgusting. And then you go back in and get a bunch of sweets.
Perfect. That's because it's exactly what I would do with superpowers, you know?
Yeah, I know. And then he walks past a nice looking lady that he fancies and like, oh, hello there. Hello. Oh my god.
Oh, of course. They also go to the gentleman's club.
Yes, they go and they've got free hot wings.
Uh-huh.
And then Billy says we're gonna need more money. It's very expensive in there. And they go to an ATM and they Doctor Who it with the sonic screwdriver and there's just money flying out of it and they run away. They're committing crimes, Kyle. They're committing crimes. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they have like a shot of like the camera sort of inside the ATM and he lightning hands it and money just starts flying out.
I'm wondering, because you mentioned a scene with the chairs. Is there an extended cut of this movie?
There is not an extended cut of this movie to the best of my knowledge.
Because I never got the scene where they're sat in the chairs and they point out the ones missing.
That's the post-credit.
The post-credit for me was...
Mark Strong inside the prison. There's another one.
The other one I got was they're figuring out if he can talk to fish.
Oh yeah. Where's this empty throne scene?
Is it a deleted scene?
No, I'm sure I saw that in the cinema. Hold on. We're YouTubing this. See now that the Black Adam movie's actually out there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's a deleted scene.
Okay, yeah.
The scene is called Family of Thrones.
Because I've definitely heard of that scene, but it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, it's called Family of Thrones. Why do I distinctly remember seeing that in the cinema?
This is just one of these things of your brain messing with you.
Yeah, so everyone in the Shazam family, they all come sit at their thrones. They're just kind of talking shit. Yeah, that's exactly what I remember very distinctly seeing in cinema. Okay, it doesn't matter. Sorry, I shouldn't have been overwhelmed with the need to hijack the recording to check that out. So, where were we? Yeah.
They do commit crimes because they also use it to ditch school.
Yes, Billy turns the corner from the school, the hall monitor guy, and then he comes back around with the trench coat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, hello, I am the father. And I just passed my other son there, Officer Moron. And he goes, it's Moran. That's then where we get our power montage. Yeah, that's a little bit earlier in the film. So they then go to a real estate agent, Kel, to find an evil lair, superhero lair. Great stuff.
Good stuff, yep. Needs to have 7 bedrooms, but he's not running a foster home.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, I love the thought of these people thinking, oh yeah, superhero lairs are just something that are on the market.
Because they're kids. It's perfect.
So we go back to school and Freddy's being our ass, being like, yeah, I'm friends with Mr. Lightning Hands because they don't have the name.
Oh, Nathan, I totally forgot to ask you. It's a very important question.
Yeah, go.
Flight or invisibility?
Flight or invisibility? Flight. Despite what Freddy has to say, invisibility might have its benefits, but I feel like that would be more for, I don't know, the use of the state to be more valuable to other people. Like you could use that ability to
It's
aid.
a more practical ability for superheroism.
Yes, it is. Flight, however, for just a private citizen, oh my god, I would get everywhere so quick. I wouldn't need to drive. Flight, of course, for me anyway.
Well, you have to wonder, does flight come with the other things that make flight possible? Do you have an immunity to cold? Or do you have to really bundle up when you go flying?
I presume it does. I think these superpowers are packages. Invisibility, does that mean your clothes also go invisible? You know? We hope so, Kyle, don't we?
Or you end up in a Fantastic Four situation where Jessica Alba has to strip naked on a bridge.
Precisely. So I'm going to assume that whenever people talk about these powers, they mean them in the idealistic sense that people assume they're meant in, you know? So invisibility, everything that you have on you, your phone, your wallet, your keys, all go invisible with you.
See, as an introvert, invisibility would be very useful to me.
But then people would be walking into you all the time.
Well, no, because I could still see them. Yeah,
but if you're when would you want to be invisible?
I don't know, when I'm stuck at a party or something, need to slip out.
Oh no, for me, just purely for private citizen utilitarian reasons, flight would just be such a advantage, a heads up. There's more use for achieving goals to maybe being invisible, espionage and such, but that's also just feels, it's just not for me. Like, yes, if I had those powers, sure, why not? Like, I wouldn't deny the presence of that power.
If someone
within me.
offered it to you, you wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no, but I think I would choose flight.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to establish. So
No,
you're
yeah,
team flight, I'm team invisibility.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. This is what would be the point if we both agreed, you know? And I like to travel, so flight just ticks all the boxes. So, we should note at this point, they learn how to become kids again. Or, sorry, Billy learns how to become a kid again because they sneak into the house. He accidentally says goodnight to the foster family parents. And they're like, Billy, is that you? And then they say, like, he has tuberculosis or something. I can't remember.
Some sort of terminal disease.
Yeah, some sort of terrible disease. And he goes into what he thinks is the bathroom. I don't know why. And then they're in Darla's bedroom, and she's like, "Why is there a man in here?"
Well, he covers his mouth, and it's like covering her mouth like you're going to kidnap her. It's not going to help the situation.
And he's like, "Listen, it's me, Billy." And then he's talking through what he done. And he said the word Shazam, and the whole house power shorts out because the lightning strikes. Great funny moment. And they're like, "Okay, now we know how to turn on and off our powers. Darla, you cannot say a word." Mm-hmm. And she doesn't through the whole film.
No, she's a good sister.
She's a good sister, exactly. So we're in school, back to where I just said we were a few moments ago, and Freddy's being an ass, saying I'm friends with Mr. Lightning, Captain Tinglefingers, or whatever.
This is really where Freddy loses me, I'll be honest. This scene.
I agree.
Because Freddy is completely in the wrong here for doing this.
Completely. Like, he just wants to be liked. I understand
he wants to show off to these evil criminal bullies.
Yeah. So I have a line here. They say to him, it says, "Oh yeah, and Superman's going to bring his dessert too." Really? Like, okay. haha, set up. Kyle, we're going to get a payoff.
Yeah.
Not really.
I mean, technically speaking, yes.
But well, technically speaking. So as part of this scene, we kind of get asked the question. And no, it may not be part of the scene, but it's kind of soon after. Because Billy, I think, is saying to him, like, "You could be my sidekick." And Freddy's like, name one cool sidekick. Which I think is quite disrespectful to Robin, who, in this universe, has died at the hands of the Joker, probably
well, then he
doing
wasn't
something.
very cool then, was he? He
No,
died.
No, cool people die, Kyle. And
I mean, generally speaking, the death of Robin is not like a noble sacrifice.
But like, what are we gonna get here, right? Like, he was Batman, who is seen as the coolest superhero. Like, he died to the Joker, the Batman's arch nemesis.
I mean, I think it's well established that Aquaman is Freddy's favourite superhero, so,
Well, Paul, yes, okay, so he should have said Mara then, shouldn't he?
I don't know, does she class as a sidekick? She's a romantic interest. Does that count as sidekick?
They can be both. She has cool telekinetic powers. Okay, well, he says something pretty disrespectful to the memory of Robin, in my opinion.
Okay, sure,
that's what
fair
I put
enough.
in my notes.
We're still, I mean, even today, we're still in the era where people don't think Robin is cool, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you, I suppose, right? I suppose. We've never really got a good live-action Robin.
No. And I don't even know when we'll ever get one, because I don't see, like, the Pattonverse adding a Robin.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Robin's just so difficult to do, even though it sounds such, like, an obvious choice. Everyone knows Batman and Robin. Like, it's just a cultural zeitgeisty thing that everyone knows. But then if you were to actually tell someone, "Where have you actually ever seen Robin?" they would go, "Oh, I don't know." I've seen him on, like, t-shirts and stuff. He's just like the character.
There is two Batman movies with Robin in them.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. Chris O'Connell's Robin. I actually quite like those nipple suits. Just right up off the top. I don't hate them.
Uh-huh.
I like the thought of Robin kind of wearing armour with the art on it. I quite like that. I also quite like the Snyder Robin suit that we never actually got to see an actor wear.
But we're getting off topic. This is when they have their big falling out.
This is where they have their big falling out, Kyle.
It's the dramatic beat you need in one of these movies.
Yeah. So we should say Billy doesn't come to school to show how cool Freddy is.
No, he's out. He's out making money.
Out making money. Lightning in my hands. At the top of the rocky stairs. He accidentally shoots a bus off a motorway.
Great scene.
He stops a bus. And he's like, "Freddy, look what I done."
No, he stops the bus and then he goes to look like he's catching the bus and he just puts out a mattress. It's like, hey, see, I solved it.
Yeah.
Then he catches the bus and there's a dog in the way. Just lots of great stuff.
Great sort of just, very simple concepts of heroism. And Freddy somehow is able to close that distance really quick despite being with a crutch.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he can secretly teleport.
That's his superpower, yeah.
Also, I guess he just ditched school.
Yeah, he just ditched school. Yeah, so he's no better than Billy at this point. I'm surprised they don't call the parent. I think they probably think they've sorted the parents thing by having Shazam dad show up. But, I mean, still,
I mean, well, this is also when we first get our first fight between the hero and the villain. And
Yes.
Mark Strong is great because Mark Strong is playing this like he's not in a comedy at all. He's completely, deadpan serious about everything.
He's playing this like he's in a Black Adam film. Absolutely.
He's so intense.
He is so intense, and I love him for it. Wonderful.
Like I say, he's not like a super deep villain, but he's a really, really good, normal
Generic
bad,
villain.
just evil bad guy who wants power,
Yeah, well, he has been corrupted by the sins. They have motivation. He kind of does.
Sure, yeah. He's a pawn, but,
He is a pawn.
He's a fun pawn.
So they kind of have a kind of nothing fight. Like, Shazam is just like, you can't hurt me. Like, of course you can't hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. And then he gets punched and his nose bleeding. He's like, holy moly, you can actually hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So we start getting things thrown around, picked up. This is what Man of Steel would have been in other people's minds. Sort of no real damage to public property.
Yeah.
And then does he beat him? I can't really remember how this fight ends.
I mean, basically when he realizes he can be hurt, Shazam just starts running away.
Yeah, right, okay.
And he pulls off a gambit, which he's so lucky it works, which is he's about to be stabbed or something
He
by
says
the bad
Shazam
guy,
and
and he
the-
says
and the
Shazam
lightning.
and blends
Yeah.
into the crowd. He's extremely lucky that he looked away at that point and didn't see the kid sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is very beneficial. It's good that he can use his powers for more than just, I am big action man.
But then he pieces together his secret identity rather quickly because he sees Freddy arguing with him on the TV, and then Freddy is also right there because he also made it to the shopping mall.
Yeah, all very convenient, right?
Yes. Look, it's not a perfect movie. There's no such thing as a perfect movie, but it's fun.
So after this, Kyle, when we go back to the group home and Billy's kind of wanting to push everyone away, Eugene has collated all the data because
he's hacked the
Pedro found the
mainframe,
book.
yeah.
He hacked the mainframe. Pedro found the notebook, and Eugene was able to find out where his mother lived, and she used her maiden name, which is why Billy's never found her yet.
This is also when when the kids figure out that he's Shazam.
Yes, he's like, what's Freddy doing with this? And earlier on in the film, we forgot to mention Shazam saves Mary from crossing the street with like a garbage truck coming down it.
I think it's a snowplow, because this is a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is a Christmas movie, which surprised you, didn't it? You didn't know this was a Christmas film.
No, I mean, it's not overly Christmassy, but it is set at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, it's about family, Kyle, at Christmas, right?
Okay, fair enough.
And he accidentally says, like, oh, hello, Mary, college letter, blah, blah, blah. And she says she's sad, and you think that's because she didn't get in. It's no, because she did get in, but she doesn't want to leave her adopted family.
And Billy's like, nah, family's for suckers.
Vin Diesel's arch nemesis.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. So, when they all find out that Billy is in fact Shazam, but he's like, I've got to go see my mum because you found out who it is, even though I said I didn't care, I actually do care. Mm-hmm. And we get...
I guess he just runs the whole way there.
He must. He didn't even Shazam it and fly the whole way there.
No.
But he gets there and we find out that his memory of him being at fault for getting lost isn't the case, and it was what everyone else has always told him. The mum didn't want him. Something convenient happened, and she took the first opportunity to be rid of him.
The point of the scene is the mum kind of sucks.
Mom kind of sucks, right?
Like, they try... Like... It's deliberately complicated because she says, like, she was 17, she didn't have any money to raise a kid, his dad is in jail.
Yeah. I think her dad wasn't particularly nice.
No. So she saw an opportunity and is like, okay, well, this is going to be better for this kid in the long run. And it's very, like, it's a good scene. It's very, like, genuine.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's like, even if she had her reasons, it's still not, like, a great thing to do. And I don't think the movie paints her in a massively sympathetic way.
No, it does not. But I don't think it vilifies her very much either, because adoption and giving up kids is quite a complicated issue. Because you could say, well, would his life have been great if he was with her, who didn't really seem to care?
No,
Probably
and she's
not.
clearly with some kind of abusive asshole.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it does seem that he has ended up better for this happening to him. Unlike, again, Mark Strong, who stayed with the asshole dad and became just corrupt and horrid. You know, products of your... Nurture versus nature, Kyle, you know? Product of your surroundings.
It's a scene of, like, continual gut punches, though, which is great, because at the end he hands her the little ball thing, which is what he left for in the first place, because she said it'll always guide you home, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he hands it to her, and she goes, what's this?
She doesn't even remember it.
No.
So we've kind of tied up that plot. That character journey is now resolved, which in my mind is kind of for the best.
Yeah, well, the part of the movie is him learning that to accept this foster family as his real family.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he says at the end he has to go home to his family or something like that.
Yes, which is a good moment. It's very lucky they cast a group of likeable people as the family.
Well, yeah, that is the linchpin of this movie.
Yeah, if you don't buy the family, I think this film really doesn't work. What happened to the family?
Mark Strong found them. Well, the parents left to go find Billy.
Yes.
But the kids were left in the house, and Mark Strong holds them hostage.
Yes, Mark Strong does show up and hold them hostage, that's true. So Shazam has to try and get them back, doesn't he? Billy goes to Shazam. And they have a fight, maybe? Or I can't really remember this
There's
bit.
like a negotiation, and then he opens the door to the cave and picks up the staff, and then the kids come through with like BB guns to try and fight him.
That's the bit. I remember that bit. They've got like lampshades and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, because is it Billy? Not Billy. Freddy throws the batarang.
Yes, and it hurts him because Mark Strong's powers are based on the 7 deadly sins. So when they're not like inhabiting his body, he's just a normal man.
Yes. You're not wrong. So I have here in my notes, if Batman showed up with the kids, I would have cheered.
It just starts playing like the Christopher Nolan Batman theme.
I'd have hit the roof, right? Because just nice. I don't know. I'm a shell for Batman, right?
I mean, it would have been a bit like thematically random.
Oh yeah, no,
Batman shut up.
Yeah.
There's a great moment with Batman though when they're having like the fight in the toy shop, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Batman," and just throws like a big like Batman action figure at him.
It says I'm Batman. I think that's Kevin Conroy.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it is. I think there was an article about that at the time. So after that, Shazam takes all the kids and they go for a run, and they find Monsters Inc. doors, don't they?
They do find Monsters Inc. doors to a room with alligators playing poker.
Great.
Question mark.
Terrific. I love it.
Is that on Earth or is that another dimension? I guess it doesn't matter.
This all plays into Mr. Worm, the caterpillar. I can't remember his name. By the way, voiced by David F. Sandberg.
Of course.
But yeah, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But all these doors leading to different realities is all very... This could have gone somewhere, right? Shazam 2 doesn't do anything with it, really. But Shazam 2 is like a pause, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. Good film, but not related to this multiverse thing at all. But this really could have become like a big deal, these Monsters Inc. doors going to different worlds.
Right.
But we end up opening a door that takes you to the first place you can think of. Where does Shazam take them?
They realise that to get in and out of this place, you just have to think hard, basically.
Yep.
So he thinks about the first place on his mind, and it was, of course, the Gentleman's Club.
The Gentleman's Club. The Gentleman's Club. Absolutely. Makes sense, doesn't it?
I mean, he's a kid. It's a memorable thing.
I suppose it would be, wouldn't it? Pedro happens to say this sort of thing doesn't interest him, so Pedro's gay.
Yeah, I think I knew that from articles. I don't think I would have, immediately thought that from the scene. I mean, it doesn't matter, really. But...
Yeah, that does not matter. They do expand on that in the second one, I believe.
Okay. It's one of his only, 5 lines in the movie, so...
Yeah, it's true. So, Kyle, we started at a fairground and we're ending at a fairground. See, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
It rhymes, yeah.
Yeah, so we're having this big fight in the fairground, and it's not going too well for her here, was it?
No, I guess we haven't really talked about the 7 deadly sins much. They're big grey monster things.
They look like the gargoyle statues from Ghostbusters.
Yes, I have mixed feelings on this, because on the one hand, I like that they all have unique designs. Because you
Yeah,
see,
they
like,
all look quite good.
Gluttony's like a big one with a massive, like, its whole body is a mouth.
Yeah.
And Lust is this weird guy with a big tentacle tongue.
Who's the one with the big wings?
I assume that's Pride.
Possibly, yeah, because he always stood there with like his arms folded and all that, yeah.
So I like the designs. The thing is, they don't really do anything involving their specific sins, really.
No, they are
you know
just
what I mean.
villain. They are in utility. They are just villainous henchmen there for Envy, who hosts Mark Strong all the time.
So like they have cool designs, but there's not like anything that plays really into those sins.
Yeah,
and any
no,
beyond that.
they don't do
It's
much
okay
with that.
because Mark Strong is the real villain. But
Yeah, exactly. So it's not going too well for a hero Kyle, and he has the staff.
yes, because the way you because Mark Strong's goal is he wants Billy to transfer him the powers of Shazam.
Yes, exactly. That's what's happening the whole time because he's annoyed that he wasn't given it as a child.
So he can have like double superpowers, and I guess by happenstance also superpower the sins. I guess.
Yes, because if they have those powers, then nothing can stop them. At least in their mind. So he says we're going to need some help, and he asks all of his brothers and sisters to hold the staff and say his name. And what did they say, Kyle?
Billy, obviously.
Billy, of course, that's his name. Great moment. That gets a laugh out of me every time.
It's good stuff.
He's
There's
like,
just
"No,
we
the
can't
other
cover
name."
all of them, obviously, but just assume in most scenes there's a very funny moment in this movie. It's just a really well constructed comedy movie.
Well constructed comedy movie. So we have the Shazam family, Kyle, which is a thing from the comics. I have in my notes here that, to my memory, that I don't believe this ever leaked. At least not to, again, like I say, not to my memory. And they were definitely hidden from the marketing.
That's pretty impressive.
This is a genuinely good third act surprise.
I will say, I have questions about the Shazam family.
Okay.
So, do they all have the same powers?
I believe they do.
Because the way it's established is, like, maybe, but we only ever see, like Darla, she only ever runs really fast. And then Pedro, he just does super strength stuff.
And Freddy flies.
It kind of seems like they only have one each, but I don't think that's the case. I guess they just prefer using one or the other.
Yeah, I think they just prefer to use one or the other, but I think that it's just a way for them to just sort of showcase each person using their powers and to keep it visually interesting. They're just all doing something different.
The casting for them is a bit hit or miss too. I think the guy they have as Freddy is like perfect. He looks exactly like the kid Freddy and like, talks like him as well. It's bizarre.
He's quite good. What do you think of the rest?
I think Mary Marvel is the weirdest because she's the oldest already and she just turns into a completely different looking woman.
So not a fun thing, but an interesting fact about that is
they retcon it, right?
They recast her in the second one.
Mm-hmm. So that it's always just the teen version playing the adult version, right?
Yeah, she's the only one that does that, so it's quite, how does this work? Maybe it's I think how it works is a bit consistent with Black Adam, whereas if you're an adult, when you get the powers, you just stay the same.
This is the complicated thing about doing Shazam in live action, where it works for one movie, but if you do more movies, it starts to become a bigger problem. Which is, Zachary Levi is supposed to be the adult version of Asher Angel, is that what you said his name is?
Yeah.
And, like, they don't look that similar, really.
No, they don't really.
But it's okay because he's 14. When he becomes 20 and he's turning into 40-year-old Zachary Levi, then it becomes a weird problem.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. It's one of those things about the longevity that could have become. But I mean, listen, there's no longevity here. We know what's the name of this show, Kyle. This ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So they do save the day, but it's not just a flat out victory because Mark Strong is quite a formidable foe for this fight, and they do one of the best gags in the movie. I can't hear you.
It's perfect.
Evil monologue at distance.
But they're flying in the sky, and so you can't hear him at all.
The deadly sins fly around like Death Eaters.
They do. They're a bit nebulous to fight. I think, like, at that point, the main thrust of the movie is still Billy Batson versus Mark Strong, and so the rest of the Shazam family are just kind of on cleanup duty with all these sins.
Absolutely. It's just kind of to weaken Mark Strong just to be one sin as opposed to all 7.
There's also a weird balance of what characters the fights focus on, because I would say before this, Mary is kind of like the third most important, like, family member.
Yeah.
Her or Darla, maybe, I would say. But when
I'd
she
say
becomes
Darla, but yeah.
when she becomes a Shazam, I don't think we get a single, like, lingering shot of her doing anything in that fight. Like, she's in the background fighting and stuff, but like, Pedro gets a moment, Freddy gets a moment, Darla gets a few moments.
Absolutely.
And I don't think she gets one.
When they recast her, I forgot that she was played by a different actress in this film. I only read about them, like, here's what happened to the first Shazam actress, and I was like, what happened? I thought she was in this one, right? No, it's a recast.
I know it's because she's red in the comics, but in this movie, why is her colour also red?
Yeah, she just looks like Lady Shazam, doesn't she?
Exactly, she should be a different colour.
She should be a different colour. I think it's because she's got the skirt. They're like, oh, that's different enough, we'll just keep her red as well. You know, I agree with you, but it's not something that particularly sticks in my mind. Like, I'm just happy to let it go. So how do we defeat our villain, Kyle?
Well, we have to. He has to be rid of all of the sins. So 6 of them are off fighting the Shazam family, and the 7th one, Envy, because he's jealous of Billy Batson's powers. It's very thematic.
Very thematic. And he has to goat him out, doesn't he, Kel?
He goats him out and says, "Oh, they don't like Envy. They don't like hanging out with Envy."
That's why they'll leave you in the body, you know, or they all go out and play. And then when he's right on top of him, Kylie does that Shazam trick. Great shot. The lightning just coming down from the sky and utterly obliterating.
I really enjoy that he uses the ability to turn into a boy as as a power in his arsenal.
Yeah, it is quite clever. It is absolutely quite clever.
Like, sometimes it doesn't work out for him because sometimes he gets drowned by Mark Strong. But, you know.
But sometimes the lightning bolt coming down from the heavens is enough to kill one of the 7 deadly sins. And then Mark Strong becomes some dude.
Yes, he's falling off a building because
with one
the
eye.
sins don't actually care about him.
Yeah, because I forgot he always had 2 eyes, but then they cut out one of his eyes to put the ball in.
I don't know if they cut it out. It like that the magic eye can just shoots through his glasses.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, I say cut out, but it is quite a horrific thought that having something fly into your face and pulverising your eyeball.
He's all about it, though. He loves it.
Yeah, he is. He's very happy with the life choice for the duration of this film, right up until the end.
And they foreshadow it early in the movie when he's looking at the orb and it's like in the reflection of one of his glasses.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, and that's basically the end of the movie, I think.
This like the wrap up. Now we're in the wrap up phase, Kyle, where everything's winding down.
Yeah, and they're just a family of superheroes now.
They've just accepted it. Do the parents know? I don't think they find out yet, do they?
No, they don't find out.
No, they don't find out.
They realise they have a lair, and I think I saw some comment about how, like, the Shazam family makes Billy himself less important, but I disagree. The whole movie's about family. I think it makes perfect sense that the whole family gets to be this team of superheroes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you as well. I think the family are really, really good, both in supporting and also when they get to step out to be more part of the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a really successful project, Kyle, and I was very happy it got a sequel, though I think it maybe came a year too late. But this is the start of Walter Hamada's time overseeing the DCEU, and everything between now and Aquaman The Lost Kingdom is all his. That includes...
Okay, so we're entering the Hamadaverse.
Yeah, we are entering the Hamadaverse. Bar Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously, that's his own thing. But he's also responsible for the Joker. He's responsible for... Or maybe he's responsible for Joker, I'm not sure. He's definitely responsible for Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah.
But this is, everything from now up until the end of our show is basically Walter Hamada. Right, so keep that in mind whenever we're watching this stuff.
I mean, we have to talk about the thing you desperately want to talk about, which is the last scene of the movie.
Yes, we do need to speak about that. So,
first off, I need to have a little tangent here.
Okay, go ahead.
Freddy's sitting alone because he's a loser, and then his family comes out and he's like, "Don't you guys have different lunch periods?" And I just have to ask, what the hell does that mean, Nathan? Did schools in America have different lunch periods for different grades? How does that work? Lunchtime is lunchtime.
Well, I suspect that it might be more to do with the school being too big for the entire school population to descend on the canteen at once, and you have like allotted times where you go in for your meal.
Is that a thing? I've never heard of that before.
Well, I know from being in high school, we had to queue in different class sections to get into to our school food hall. You still had like the rest of the school body to go and chill around, you know, the rest of the land, the grounds, school grounds, that's the phrase. But the actual food hall, it was like you have sometimes it wouldn't be that crazy to imagine the school would be like, okay, here's your meal time, you know. And it would all probably be within the same 2-hour window. But
okay, the other thing that was so American in this film is when they first go to the high school, they have to scan their backpacks like it's the TSA.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Can you imagine?
We can only joke about, America's bad for so long. It is pretty stark. It is pretty depressing.
It's just so strange to see. And they're like, oh yeah, this is just a normal thing that high schools do.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing. In inner city high school with airport security to get in the door.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
I guess Billy and the Shazam family don't need to worry about that anymore.
No. I mean, what happens, I don't know if the next movie establishes this, but if he's shot as Billy and then transforms into Shazam, does that heal up? I guess it must, right?
We'll see Shazam 2 eventually, and we'll find out. I actually can't remember if that happens in Shazam 2. I remember something happens in Shazam 2 that, oh boy, we'll talk about for a long time.
Okay,
but
good stuff. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, but I can't quite remember that specific quandary you brought up. But they all join him for lunch because they've all synced up their lunch periods, right? Mm-hmm. And what I noticed, Kyle, about this scene is this whole film is filled with a lot of product placement, as we know.
Yeah. Well, every film is. Right
behind Billy is a knockoff Pepsi vending machine that's very clearly Pepsi, but it doesn't say the word Pepsi on it. It says something else. And it just really it just itched my brain. I was like, no, that should just be Pepsi. Make it Pepsi. And then when he's sitting here...
This is the DC Universe equivalent of Pepsi.
And they all come in to join him, Kyle. Mm-hmm. And then Shazam, Billy walks in. I don't know why couldn't the whole family have been the Shazam family? That would have worked, right?
Would that maybe have given them away too much?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. That might have been too on the nose. And Billy's still kind of the outsider from the outside man's perspective, so they might not expect Billy to be sitting with him. And he's like, oh, hello, Freddie Freeman, my close and personal friend. It's me, Shazam. And everyone's like, wow, look at you. You really are friends with the superhero. And then we get the last stinger of the film where he's like, oh, yeah, and I also brought someone else along if that's okay.
And we get from the shoulders down Superman.
Holding a dinner tray. Yeah, oh boy, Kale, you wanted to rant? You wanted to rant about lunch periods? Let me rant about this for a minute. God. So this has all kind of been litigated to death online by the communities for years now. But Henry Cavill is a great actor, and I love Henry Cavill personally speaking. But there's rumours about him in the Hollywood space that he's apparently a nightmare to work with. And he also isn't much of a team player in terms of just, you're part of this shared cinematic universe, just do the cameo, just do the bit. Mm-hmm. Be there for the full team, like Zachary Levi showing up for Thor, right?
Yeah, or Chris Evans showing up in Thor 2, you know?
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Or Chris Evans showing up to do the Spider-Man Homecoming PE videos, right?
Yes. All very memorable and beloved bits.
All memorable and beloved bits, right? I should say, though, I believe Chris Evans is contractually obliged to do Thor the Dark World. Sure. Yeah. Henry Cavill flat out refused to do this cameo, which for Walter Hamada and the Warner Brothers heads, because this was his first film, caused a lot of friction. They were like, why can't you just do it? Just, like, I think it wasn't to do with pay. He would have done it for a certain amount of money, clearly, but he thought the pay and the creative fulfillment I'm getting from this just don't match up. I'm not getting paid as much as I think I should get paid because he considers himself to be like a A-tier superstar. And I'm not being asked to do much either, so it's just not worth it for me at all. And they were leaving it open. They were like, maybe he'll do it, maybe he won't. And it got to the point where they had to ship the movie and it became clear that he wasn't going to do it. So they cut the head off. I think they even had the facilities in place to do like a deep fake if he agreed to do it at a later date. But he just never did. And the film just came out and that was it.
Yeah, that does not paint Henry Cavill in the greatest of lights.
It does not paint him in the greatest of lights at all.
Because to me that's almost like it's like a pride thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
like I'm too good to do this cameo.
A lot of people say that Henry Cavill, in his head, thinks he's a bigger global star than he is.
I think that maybe it's true, yeah, because if you look at his overall landscape, he did Superman, he did The Witcher, He did Argyle.
Argyle, by the way, underrated film. I saw it. The marketing's awful. The film's quite good.
Okay, that's not what I've heard, but I'll take your word for it.
It's okay, Kyle. It's not great. It's bombing horribly, but I thought it wasn't half bad. But yeah,
he's barely in it though, right?
He's barely in it, but he might be in more going forward because spoilers. I won't say the spoiler. There is an ongoing franchise potential here.
He's also in Mission Impossible 7, right?
And they killed him off because he was a nightmare to work with.
Yeah. So I think you're probably right that he thinks he's a bigger star than he is.
Yeah, right. I love Henry Cavill personally. I'm just one of those people where he does click for me. But for mass audiences, he just might not. That just might be the harsh reality that Mr. Cavill needs to take in. And this argument about this film, even though it was only a little cameo, seemed to have been the kindling that sparked a bigger explosion about him being out as Superman at DC. Something that would not be corrected.
I mean, knowing that now, it's hilarious that he then showed up for the cameo in Black Adam, but not for Shazam.
Well, I was going to say we can talk about Black Adam when we get there, and we will, but keep in mind, Henry Cavill's manager is The Rock's manager and The Rock's ex-wife.
Right, I see.
And
okay.
they need to work together to get Henry Cavill work so that they can be successful. You know, again, I'll probably tell you all of this again for the sake of the recording when we get to Black Adam, but there are levers at play that make it incredibly understandable why he done Black Adam, you know?
Okay, fair enough.
And at the time, that wasn't the end of the DCEU yet, so this was his big return. He was going to go on to do more. I think we were going to get a Black Adam versus Superman movie. But anyway, that's for another episode, Kyle. I think that's us at the end of Shazam 2019.
Do you think that scene would have been better if they just cast someone else as Superman? Would that have annoyed you less?
Oh no, I would have been enraged. I would have hated that. Because there's fan edits online, both pre Zack Snyder's Justice League and post Zack Snyder's Justice League. The pre one is just a bit of kind of Justice League mustache gate, Henry Cavill showing up. But then when Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, they done another version of the scene where his suit's black.
Right.
And it just cuts to black after Freddy screams, because that's the cut to credit smash cut. But it's they just put the Man of Steel theme over the end credits. And I love it. It just tickles my brain in all the right ways.
See, I really like the credits to this movie, though. I mean, it's hilarious watching these credits, imagining that it's the SnyderVerse Justice League. Yeah. Because it's like these like hand-drawn credits where the Shazam family are messing around with the Justice League, and like they steal the Batmobile. Yeah. And has an arm wrestle with Superman, and Smoochie's on Wonder Woman.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, and also we have to talk about the post-credit scene where Mark Strong is recruited by a bug, and it's an RLM skit. Of
course we do, yeah. So that is a character called Mr. Mind.
Okay.
And that character leads into a whole potential level of multiverses. That character
this is our Kang, is what you're saying.
According to Entertainment Weekly, Kyle, this character dates back to 1943.
I believe that. They were up to some weird stuff back then.
Yeah. Yeah, this is our Kang the Conqueror. And he is able to sort of open these doorways to different like tiers of reality. Imagine the realms in Thor, but instead of realms, they are multiverses stacked on top of each other.
And he's just a caterpillar with a little voice box on him.
Yes, but he can access these other realms. And this could have been a whole thing. And we'll come back around to it when we get to Shazam 2. But Shazam 2 deals with none of this, but we will get back around to it.
It's a very funny scene. Obvious. It's like when Guardians of the Galaxy has like a ridiculous comic book character in it. It's like they know it's ridiculous, but we're going to take it seriously anyway.
Yes, absolutely, which I appreciate.
But yeah, I mean, overall, just a really, really solid movie. I think maybe this is going to be insulting to you. This is the first of these movies that genuinely feels like it could be in the MCU and nothing would really change. This feels more Marvel-y than any of the other movies they've done so far.
Do you mean like apart from the Batarangs and the Aquaman t-shirts?
Apart from all of that, like, superficial stuff, yeah. I just mean in, like, in terms of, like, the way the movie is, like, executed.
Yes, no, I do agree with you. It could definitely be an MCU-ish film. I think even the outfit, to a certain degree, kind of looks reminiscent of Vision's outfit.
I mean, it's not quite... It is different design from the MCU movies, which generally still try and go in that more, like, realistic direction ? Where they just add a bunch of lines to everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They do redesign the suit for Shazam 2, and I think you're going to hate it. I quite like it. I think it's better, but you might hate it.
I guess we'll see. That's a ways away. That's 2023.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Enter the SnyderVerse. I was one of your hosts, Nathan. You can find me online at Nathan Tinney on Twitter and Nathan.Tinney on Instagram. Kyle, where can they find you online?
I can't believe you forgot to plug Hive. You can, of course, find me on YouTube at Kyle the Scott, where I do videos. I'm on all those social media platforms under the same name, but I don't use them, but sign up anyway.
Yeah, well, of course, I should have plugged Threads and Hive and Blue Sky and everything as well. Sorry, Kyle's completely correct. Oh, yes, so you can find us both online. We have various social media presences, and thank you for listening. And you can tune in next week where we will be going over 2019, Kyle? What's our next film?
2019, or we're taking a little diversion from the DCEU, because next is 2019's Joker, baby.
Oh, we're doing Joker next week. Oh my goodness, what a surprise. Oh God. Right, well, thank you for listening, everyone, and you can hear us talk about that next time.